Welcome to A Piece of CX. In this video, we're going to take a look at the Nice CXone Mpower 25.1 release highlights. Firstly, let's address that name change. So whilst there are a number of significant changes coming with this first release of 2025 from Nice, the big one is the name. It's now known as CXone Mpower because the platform empowers customer experience AI. Now, the reason why this is significant is because the logo change will be applied across the agent and the supervisor and the entire platform, essentially. So at some point when this release drops, your users might say to you, hey, there's something different with my agent. No need to worry. It's just a name change and a logo change, just so you're aware. You'll also see it all the way across the Nice website and across the help site as well. So name change. Not our first rodeo with Nice with name changes with the CXone platform, but just to be aware for your end users. There are a lot of highlights with this release. I think I aimed for a top 10. I've got around 40 at the moment. I'm just going to whiz through as many as we can in this time. So, Sovereign Cloud for UK, EU and Australia is now available, which is great if you need that level of data separation for those markets. Within ACD, there have been a number of evolutions in the last few releases in terms of delivery method, whether it was single contact or omni-channel essentially. That delivery mode method has now been removed with 25.1. Everything will be run off of the premise of total contacts. So if you want one single contact, make it one. If you want multiple, make it more than that. We are seeing the retirement of the previous generation of coaching. Coaching has always been an add-on to the quality management package. CXone coaching arrived back end of 2023 as an add-on to both quality management and performance management. And if you are still using packages and plans, please move across to the new coaching functionality. It's really good, really tight, has a lot of really interesting uses that we're speaking to customers about at the moment. And there will be more on this soon on the channel. A new channel is also available. Going GA is click to call. So essentially voice, but voice without a telephone number. This is available for desktop browsers at the moment, but essentially this means you can place a voice icon and widget on your website. And if the user's desktop supports it, they can click on it and be connected over WebRTC. So removing the need for phone numbers might be very useful in a number of scenarios, such as multinational. CXone WFM now has enhanced strategic planner added. So if you are needing to add more to your plans, to your forecasts, you now have that capability coming into CXone WFM. Performance management is now GA. Now there are a few different flavors of performance management within Nice. There are a couple here with this release. One is known as Insights, one is known as Act, and there are more details on this as they become more available. But essentially it's bringing more and more data into CXone. Performance management, the previous generation via Clearview, has been included in a number of bundles for a number of years by Nice. We are waiting to see what this looks like as to what license that now moves across to. A new product, Smart Speak, is now available. This is real-time translation across 96 different languages. So very interesting. Again, if you are supporting multiple languages, real-time translation, very handy when you're on the phone to people. There have been some changes in the land of ACD. So firstly, digital channels can now adopt hours of operation. This used to be something primarily used for voice. Now the digital channels can utilize this within a studio script as well. And within routing, there is the addition of being able to now route based on both least and most occupied. Routing attributes, we've now seen a 50 times increase in availability for rules. So there were previously 100 available per BU. You can now have 5,000. So if you were starting to use routing attributes, but were getting towards that upper limit, you are now free to do whatever you like there in terms of creating routing attributes. Great way of reducing the number of skills in use and instead utilizing attributes instead. You might notice, depending on your features and functions that are turned on, the observability dashboard. This essentially is autopilot knowledge use. What articles are being used by customers in autopilot conversations? So when you're with an IVA, when you're coming through, what knowledge articles are you utilizing as customers, and potentially what do you need to update on your knowledge. Within the digital channel space, there are some additions of capability. So the ability to reply to mentions, to delete messages, to hide messages, and to like messages. These functionalities will depend on what channel you're utilizing and what permissions you apply, but a lot more autonomy on those digital channels as well. Transfers to external directories have now been added. So if you have connected your CXone Mpower BU across to Microsoft Teams or to Ring Central, you can now more easily transfer to external directory users. So we're looking forward to seeing that set up and what that then gives you. A feature has come into CXone Agent that was previously in Max. This is the ability for your agent to report issues. So now we'll be able to utilize that within CXone and give your administrators or your partner more details on what's going on there. There will be clickable links within the customer fields as well within Agent. So if you're using customer card, you will now be able to add clickable links, which will reduce effort for your agent. Also within Agent, we have new icons. You may have noticed this. I was recording some training recently, and within a couple of weeks saw new icons, just slightly more visible, slightly more effective, and easier to use as an agent. We have seen an evolution of the auto summary offering with 25.1, namely the introduction of Transcription Hub. What this does is build upon auto summary, which is generally used for post-interaction summarization, to provide real-time transcription. This is really interesting, as it's something that when I was at Nice, we were getting asked all the time by partners. In fact, when auto summary came in, the first question in the product was, well, does this mean we've got transcription? So great to see that this is now being added. If you weren't already looking at auto summarization, then the addition of Transcription Hub makes a real difference, and there are a number of options available to you as well. You don't just have to use Nice's option out of the box, you can also utilize things such as Google. The Flow Designer within Bot Builder is now available under GA. So this is a more visualized building of a bot. If you're used to Studio and like the visualization aspect, then this will provide you that within Bot Builder. Another update to Bot Builder is that if you have an inactive bot after 90 days, it will now be removed. Not seeing this in action just yet to see what this actually looks like for end users and what alerts you get to this, but essentially it's making Bot Builder a bit more effective. Into CXone Mpower dashboards, we now have roles-based access control. This has been big from day one of dashboards being released. It has been a case of you can see anything across the entirety of the CXone instance. Now we're bringing R back into it, so you can utilize those other roles-based access controls that you may have put in to stop data being seen across the business. Not only has performance management now gone GA, but we're actually seeing the return of an old favorite, namely desktop discovery. Those of you familiar with the Nice ecosystem might know this as Neeva, and it disappeared for a little while. It was on the way into CXone, and then with the reorganization of the product by Nice, subtly disappeared, and is now back within performance management. Now, desktop discovery, ideally set up for BPOs and those that need to track desktops, so it will give you an idea of what applications are being used, what websites are being used, and great way of seeing where you might need to provide coaching and enablement and knowledge for your agents. If we move back across to digital channels, feedback management now offers a digital channel survey. This is for every channel except email at this time. So this is an inline feedback survey. Really, really useful. Keeps the conversation flowing in terms of feedback instead of sending someone to a different site. Within interaction analytics, there is now the ability to add custom vocabulary tuning. So interaction analytics is a great area of the platform, gives you a great trend analysis of what is going on, and auto summary already got added into that area a while back. Now there is even more you can do to customize this capability. If we stay within the recording suite, then within Interactions Hub, we now have playback lock and the ability to create policies based on business data. So just making that even stronger. And there is now the ability of something called no channel, which is essentially recording screens without a voice call. So again, similar to desktop discovery, if you need to manage your agent community and manage what they're doing on their desktop, then you can now record their screens without having an active voice contact. We talked about Transcription Hub earlier. Well, the good news is those transcripts will be available within the CXone Mpower Interactions Hub player. Likewise, the interaction analytics categories will also be available within the player. This is big, as it's become apparent over the last couple of releases that the QM categories are being retired, and we're seeing IA categories come to the fore. That makes a lot of sense, as for some time we've had 2 points of data essentially, and one is essentially one out. What we're definitely seeing now when we build quality management for customers is we go straight to IA categories with this. You have the ability to compare scripts in Studio, so you can compare version 1 against version 2 or version 3. This is something we used to have in Desktop Studio, very, very handy. And further updates within Studio is multi-trace. So I've actually really enjoyed using Trace, which sounds very nerdy, but Trace within CXone Studio. It's very clean, it's very accessible, it's very easy to set up versus the Desktop Studio, which is slightly less accessible. Now you can add 20 traces if you want to, and there have been some updates to the connectors within Studio. So if you were a fan of curved lines, I have never been a fan of curved lines within Studio. I could never remember the clicks that I needed to then make it happen and to where to click to then move stuff around. But you can now do this within CXone Studio once 25.1 is applied. So that means you can make your scripts look a bit nicer. Within Supervisor, there is now multi-ACD support. So what this means is if you are bringing an additional platform into CXone, one of the supported multi-ACD platforms, then you can manage external agents. You can see what is going on with those agents, and you have some management capabilities there. There's a slight name change within Supervisor. Coach is now known as Assist. This is to stop it essentially being confused with CXone Coaching. And within Supervisor as well, you can now drill into an interaction's details to get greater insight into what is going on. So that is a brief run through of a lot of features within the 25.1 release from CXone Mpower. Over the next couple of months, as these get turned on our various demo BUs, I'll be back with more videos showing you how to actually utilize these and what it means for your business. Until then, thank you very much for joining A Piece of CX.